So, hello and welcome. I have the amazing, wonderful Eloise Burton with me today.
Hello.
Who I have to confess to not knowing very well. So this is going to be a fantastic conversation. I've been watching her, watching what she's up to, watching what she's doing. And I just love, we had a quick chat before we press record on here. And I just love this idea of empowering women. I think, even without pointing fingers of blame or anything like that, women have yet to step into their full power. I think we have been living in a very masculine dominated world for a very, very long time. And I love men,
me too. I'm a fan.
Yeah, total fan. But I just think there needs to be more of a balance between, we definitely need that male energy and we need female energy, and neither one is better or worse, but there is definitely some shifting needing there, I guess, to both to step into stuff.
It's like a balance is needed. It's you're right. I think at the moment we're in a very masculine structure, and we have been for a few thousand years. I think we may go too far the other way.
We usually have that pendulum swing, don't we?
Exactly. But then ultimately, I think that's what's happening. I think there's a lot of resistance and a lot of challenge in the world for both men and women as the pendulum swings the other way.
Yeah.
I've got goosebumps, so that must be true. And then we'll come back and we'll be in a state of balance for a while. And then we'll forget everything that we learned and we'll go one way or the other again. It's like it's so predictable, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you feel like little microcosms of that. Like I can see that when we're talking about that, I could see because my story is I was in a very abusive relationship, and then I kind of went over to all relationships and all things about, and then came back to that balance, and now it kind of feels like walking that balance. It feels like we kind of go like this and go like this and continue ourselves back to that.
And I actually think, I know this isn't what we're going to talk about, but I think balance is a misunderstood concept. I think balance, people think that means stability, but even for our physical body to balance, our core muscles are constantly moving. So it's never about perfection. It's about just being able to manage where we need to be, and it's never going to be a dead straight line. and the balance will always be testing and coming back to the middle and testing the other way. And I just think balance is a very misunderstood word.
And I think it's a beautiful concept as well to stay. I think I heard someone say once, I know nothing about this, so this is definitely something I heard and it may or may not be true, but when a pilot is driving a plane, their job is it goes off and they bring it back, it goes off and they bring it back, it goes off, and that's kind of definitely, that's what I see with my spiritual journey. It's kind of and every time you think, oh, I got this, how should it's definitely that, isn't it? Oh, got this. No, you haven't. It goes again and it comes back and it goes again and comes back. So, and
I think that's a sign that we are evolving and growing, because it's the same with money, which is my specialist topic. Is like, oh yes, I've got to this point, everything's sorted now. And then you sit there for a little while and then you realize nothing's sorted. You've got a new level and a new devil, and that's true of any journey that we go on, isn't it? It's like we feel competent and then we feel incompetent again when we're ready to level up again, when we go deeper into our skills and our magic. It's fascinating. And I don't think this is a journey, the spiritual journey, that's ever done. I don't think there's an end point. And I think if we can accept that we're always going to feel a little bit, oh yeah, I've done it, and then straight back out of your comfort zone, like that's the path.
It definitely is, and I think that's how it's designed. I think it's intentionally that way, because we are creators. That's what we are here to do.
Yes,
it's not going to. That's what we are and who we are. So we are going to. And if we didn't, if we got to a place where it's like, oh yeah, everything's done, what would the be to create? So as we are evolving, we create, and as soon as we've got what it is we want, we're kind of ready to create again and ready to go again, ready to create something else. So but
I always think we're not here to experience perfection. That's the very opposite. We're here to experience contrast. And so every time we get to perfection. We have to have contrast to appreciate that moment and to understand what it means in the grand scheme of things. But yes, I think, you know, when you're serious about your spiritual journey, that contrast seems to be a lot more evident, doesn't it?
I think for me, I purposely create it sometimes, you know, I actually go out seeking that to see what is next.
Yeah.
So I would really love to dive into, this is your book, Money.
Yes, it is.
Alchemy, and money has definitely, like, on my spiritual journey, the place where I really messed up badly was around relationships. You know, I was in an abusive relationship for very many years, and it was eventually leaving that relationship after 20 years and 3 children. That's when my spiritual journey began, and I, you know, had to do something different. And so I was looking, and this is what I came across. And now, you know, relationship, I have a fantastic, healthy relationship with a great man. You know, I've got great relationship with my children. I've got great relationship with, you know, relationships. I understand it, like we said, it's never done, and don't get me, you know, but I kind of get it. I can see what's going on, and I'm not fooled so easy, and relationships are kind of cool. And then so lately I've definitely noticed, I think with like, I guess is, yeah, you know, I've sort of created that in a good way. I kind of like that. And then this money thing sort of started to rear its head, sort of thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not so great with this money thing. And definitely I have deliberately put myself into a situation because I want to explore this.
Yes.
So I share a house. There's me and my partner, and then Lucy. A lot of people know Lucy Sheffield, my niece, and Beck, my other niece, my brother's 2 girls. And we have a great life here, actually. It's really great. But it's definitely time for me and my partner to have a place of our own. We're ready. I think we're all sort of ready to move.
Yeah.
And so that meant, like, our money situation is going to have to change. There's going to have to be more. There's going to have to be things. And so I decided what I would absolutely love to do would be to buy a plot of land and build a house. So I started playing with the creation of that. And we, you know, when I first decided this, I had 0 money to do this. It did not look like that was a possibility at all. And through playing with the creation of it, we are actually in the process now of buying a piece of land. We found that was all, you know, that's a long story in and of itself, but we have the money, and now we're buying this piece of land.
Amazing.
But we have 0 money to build with. And so this is kind of my, I guess this is why you have come into my awareness, because as we begin to sort of unravel these things and see it, and I've really noticed for myself how much of the thinking, you know, some of the things as I said, I've been reading your book this morning, and some of those things that I could see in the relationship, it's the same thing again, you know, it's like, you're not good enough, you can't, you'll be a bad person if you do. And one of the things I've actually been doing is getting on calls with people and asking if they will help support my project and donate money to the project, which is a whole other thing. But that was that put me outside of my comfort zone, probably the furthest I've ever been.
Yeah. Well, the thing with money is, firstly, it is a relationship, and often it's a toxic, unhealthy relationship, and it's the last relationship we look at, other than that, with ourselves. And we avoid it. We do all the things, like we creep around on eggshells, we don't look too closely, we tell ourselves this is as good as it gets, you know, like echoes of an actual toxic relationship with a person, right? Which is, that in itself is a really powerful awareness that you are in a relationship with money, and you have the power to change that. And you may not have got to this part, but I had a similar story in that I didn't have money for a house. I had no way of manifesting money for a house because I'd had a home repossessed, so couldn't get a mortgage. And I sat down with my partner and we said, like, this is like 10 to 15 years away for us, so we'll focus now. 9 months later, we bought the house that we're in, you know? And so it's that, it's a real it's an everything shift. Money is in the physical realm. It's real. We can't deny it. But it's also in our mind and our body and our soul. A lot of our money junk that we bring through links back into our past lives. And past lives will have experienced things like the witch wound, the decimation of the mystic schools many, many years ago, millennia ago. So we have this wound that we're carrying as women and as a society in general that limits our ability to believe that we can do any better, that we can do any different. And then layer that on with the fact that we don't have many role models. So we all know women who have left toxic relationships and have found the perfect partner, don't we? But we don't all know women who have changed their toxic relationship with money and are now living the dream. And on top of that, we often feel guilty for dreaming about wanting these things. Like, who am I to dream of a house? Who am I to dream of building a property? Like, all that stuff comes up, doesn't it? And it's really powerful. I can't remember what my point was going to be. I thought I'd speak to that anyway. Like, it's this relationship with money is something that, like I say, we often don't even know we're in a relationship with money. But what's really interesting, is your relationship with money is a mirror to your relationship with yourself.
Yep. Everything's a mirror, isn't it? You get
right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you hear yourself saying similar things about yourself as you do about money, like, that's never going to happen for me. Like, why is it never going to happen for me? You've manifested the money to buy the land. You just haven't manifested the money to build yet.
It's all it's definitely it's an ongoing process. And I think one of the reasons that I'm sharing about it publicly is because, like, my relationship stuff, it was sort of by the time I shared it had happened, if you like. I was in a better place, and definitely, like you say, it shocked me how quickly, once I saw the land, and I knew the minute I walked into it, it's actually a huge, great agricultural barn, and the minute I saw it and walked into it, I knew it was mine. And yet there looked like there was absolutely zero way we could do that. And it was up for sale, and it was 12 months later before I actually put an offer in, and it stayed up for sale even though the estate agent said it would go really quickly, and they were like, we can't believe this. And I said, it hasn't sold because it's mine. I know.
Yes. Exactly. You manifested it.
And now, I know there's no part of me that doubts at all that I'm going to build. I'm already living in this beautiful house on this land, for me. But I kind of wanted to share. I think there's some power in sharing these things before we're there, because I know, a lot of conversations I have, people go, well, it's all right for you, you've sorted it out now, you're in this relationship. So I kind of wanted to go to this, well, it's kind of not all right for me with this at the moment, because I've got a piece of land and I'm looking for a caravan now.
Yeah.
So it's not a done, and as you said, I don't think anything is ever completely done and dusted. We're here to continually evolve and grow. And so, I sort of wanted to share a little bit as well with my journey of the pains of that growing, and those terrifying moments when you think, what have I done?
I know, and isn't it interesting? Like, you manifested money for the plot because you knew without a doubt it was going to be yours, and so you've got proof that magic exists when it comes to money. And yet we still struggle to believe, even when we've got proof and we've done it before and before and before and before, because we've manifested money all of our lives, and like, we still doubt the magic of money. And I talk about money being alchemy, because it is constantly, it is like, there's a lot of magic in the world that we perceive we can't see, but magic is something everyone can see, even people that aren't on their spiritual journey. And it literally transforms in front of our eyes, from a £10 note into a nice lunch, from something that, like, like Lucy buys her art materials and that transforms into money when she sells it. Like we see this magic, this alchemy happening all the time, and we doubt it. We doubt that we can create it, and it's literally there. It's hiding in plain sight all the time. And I think part of the manifesting journey, much like when you manifested the money for the plot, it's just having that sense of wonder and belief and faith. It's a muscle, faith, isn't it?
Definitely.
Faith, and connecting to that faith, even when it's not easy. For me, money is faith, and when I have faith, oh, I can manifest like that. But even as the money alchemist, I still have to practice my faith of believing in it, because there's so, like, our entire world, you could just go out into a cafe or something and hear people talking about money in a way that isn't magical, that isn't supportive, that isn't kind. And we get constantly dragged into that narrative through the media, through social media. So it's, yes, I'm excited because you've already manifested money, a nice big chunk of money, and you're gonna do it again for sure.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons, I'm having a conversation with you, if you like, is because I am very aware, like you said, that faith is an incredibly important part of this.
Mm.
And when I saw the land, I didn't tell anyone about it for a while, because I knew that, like, I walked onto that piece of land and I knew it was mine. But that, even within me, the idea of sharing that with someone else and someone kind of going, what, really? You haven't got enough money to pay the rent. What are you,
Yeah.
kind of thing, or that sort of thing. And how easily my faith in that knowing could be shaken, and
Yes.
resistance could come up. And I know from creation and how I work and what I do, if I keep myself away from that resistance, if I keep myself in that place of knowing, of faith, of love, of gratitude, of just it being in awe of who I end up having conversations with, what transpires, then amazing things happen from that. Whereas if I get drawn into those conversations that sort of that, and even innocent conversations of, well, have you got a plan then to make this money? Because it doesn't look like, you haven't been bringing in that amount, or that hasn't happened before, sort of thing. What's your plan? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Can't afford the bricks to build.
And this is such a powerful point. Firstly, you have to be very careful who you share it with. I had not been fortunate in my life up until a few years ago. I hadn't had people who were supportive or even excited for me. But one thing I learned was to surround myself with people that were excited for me. But that have you got a plan thing is a really often missed part of manifesting money. So we all know about the law of attraction. What you think becomes real. Everything in the world that has been created by humankind was once a thought. Everything. This mug was someone's thought. And everything. But the missing piece, we can all think about what we want to create. The missing piece is the law of detachment, which is where I'm constantly repeating this to my clients: get out of the how.
Yes.
Get out of the how.
How is not your business.
No, you've set your intention, you've got the direction. Here's the thing, if you create the how I was taught when I became an executive coach was goal, reverse engineer into steps. But the thing is, when you do that, what you do is you blink your vision. And if that step doesn't happen, you disconnect from the goal, because it's like, oh, well, I've missed that step now. When you allow the how, when you detach and allow the how to present itself, all you've got to do is move towards it. And the universe, as you will know, opens so many weird and wonderful doors for you. Like you couldn't even write this stuff as a fiction writer sometimes. And if you did, it wouldn't be a very believable story, right? But detaching from the how, just focusing on moving, like manifesting is movement. So it's not about sitting there putting an intention out into the world. You have to take action, but you don't need to know what action you're going to take. It can be just walking around for inspiration, and all of a sudden you bump into a dog walker who just so happens to have a shed load of bricks that do you know what I mean? And you could never have planned that.
No.
And like I said, it's so unbelievable that no one, literally, you couldn't write it anyway. So that law of detachment is the often harder than manifesting with the law of attraction.
I think that is the hardest part, the leave it alone and allow it to happen and get out.
Get out of the way.
And
walk
get
towards it, but get out of the way.
And don't stay. I know it's really easy as well to get kind of caught into the I don't have it and be concentrating a lot on what you haven't got and what you haven't manifested, what hasn't worked out for you, which brings up more resistance and everything. But yeah, absolutely, it's sort of. And this conversation for me was, I was just nudged. I don't know, it just popped into my head, reach out to Eloise and ask if she wants a conversation. And even then, straight in my head, it's like, you don't know her, she doesn't know you. Crazy, why would you do that? And then it's like, okay, just ignore that. And I had no idea whether you were going to kind of say, nah, thanks, busy, leave me alone, go away, or what. But it was that, to me, is the action. This is the me creating this, because that was the next nudge. My 60 conversations was a nudge, just thinking, it's my 60th birthday, what should I 60 something 60 what shall I do? 60 inspiring conversations. And then that gives me a reason to reach out to all sorts of, and part of this was deliberately reach out. The idea then was reach out to people that aren't necessarily in your circle and you don't know, and open up. Because I've also kind of seen, when I first came to my spiritual journey, I came across an understanding called the three principles. And I really dived very, very deeply into that. And for a while, I needed just that, if you like, to kind of to understand and to know that. And then I began to see that all of these things are pointing to the same truth. They may be different roads and they may use different words. And I could see at the beginning some words and some ideas and some sentences I've got, no, it's not that, that's not the three principles, it's not that. And definitely for me, it's time, okay, there are so many ways to come to the truth, to point to the truth, to see this. So be open to people who are outside of that, ideas that are outside of that. And that is definitely a part of this evolution for me too, to kind of open up to bring it all sorts of. And one of the things I did read in your book today was, take what resonates with you and put aside what doesn't. And I still totally see that. It's kind of like, if anyone is listening to this conversation, they're kind of thinking, yeah, I absolutely love that, but not that so much. Well, just get rid of them. Not that so much.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. And you often find, don't you? I have clients. I said to you, didn't I, about money being a mirror of your relationship with yourself. And I have clients who totally can't get that. And then after working with me for a while, they're like, I get it. It's a mic drop moment. I get it. At the time that doesn't resonate with them, but when the time is right, you'll think, I've heard that somewhere before and I didn't agree with it. And eventually you either will or you won't. And either way is fine. And I think that's something that I've definitely had to heal on my spiritual journey, that it's okay if people don't agree with what I say. It's okay if they agree with some of it, but not all of it as well. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that they're either not ready for that message or it's not the right message for them. And that's been a lot, because I am a recovering good girl, a recovering perfectionist, and that's been a big thing. And since I've worked on healing, I don't know if you ever get over that sort of thing, but since I've improved those situations, I have attracted more relationships, more friendships. I've attracted more business opportunities. I have attracted more money. I've attracted more peace, more sleep, more health, more everything. So it's all intertwined. The voices in our heads and our souls and our bodies, all intertwined with everything that is outside of us as well.
Absolutely. And I think we're always on our own personal journey of least resistance as well, because I can see there are definitely, you know, things that I've done, things that have happened and everything, and at the time it's like, oh gosh, no, or whatever, but now I can see, I don't know, that's a part of the journey, and I had to go that way.
Yeah, it's that contrast again, isn't it? You know,
yeah.
could I be as authentic as the money alchemist had I not had my home repossessed, had I not got £100,000 in debt? And actually, those were the things that made me think I couldn't do this work. But now I see that actually that awful time makes it even more important that I do this work, that I help other people, you know? So the contrast of that dark time has brought so much light into my life. It didn't feel like it at the time, but I can see it now. And I remember even when I started this side of my business, I was too ashamed to talk about it. I was far too ashamed. It's only in the last year or so that I've been able to say, yeah, I had a house repossessed. I was £100,000 in debt, and I have no idea what I bought with any of it, you know? And yeah, so there's a lot of shame that holds us back as well. And we think it's the universe telling us we don't deserve, but actually it's just us blocking ourselves.
Yeah, we do. The shame thing, I can really relate to that, you know, and forgiveness. I know on my journey there has been an awful lot of forgiveness. And I know sometimes, you know, when the people that I work with, when I talk about forgiveness, it can be sometimes really, really hard to forgive ourselves. Like you said, you know, you were in all that debt and you couldn't even say what you spent it on. And the normal way, you know, even when you say that, the kind of the way to react is, well, wow, how terrible, you know, what it is, like this shame. It's almost like that's society, that's how we look at that. How shameful is that? And yet when we see that from a different perspective, when we change our view of that, when we look at it in a different way, and like you say, that darkness, we can't fully appreciate the light until we have seen the dark. And I know for me, one of the huge things was my eldest daughter. I actually sent her to live with my sister rather than leaving this relationship, because it was dangerous for her to be at home. So I sent her to live with my sister. And then the shame of living with that, you know, and standing up and kind of saying, I love my children and I'm a mom, and, you know, oh my gosh, you know, the shame of that. And there was a lot of work to forgive myself for doing that. And you know, so yeah, when I talk to people about forgiving, it is like, yeah, I know how difficult it can be to speak openly about these things, to be able to forgive yourself. But what I can see, you know, with my relationship with my children now, and even, you know, this stuff, the money stuff that I'm doing and playing around with, there's more forgiveness there, because I can really see that if I slip out of that forgiveness of my, you know, if I have a low day and I think, oh, you're a terrible person anyway, you know, look what you did, it doesn't benefit anyone.
No. And there's that analogy, isn't there, that when you don't forgive, you're just poisoning yourself. You're just drinking the poison. And that's about forgiving someone else, but it's true of forgiving yourself. You're just literally re-poisoning yourself. And you know, shame sits physically in your body. You feel it. It's a physical.
You sure feel it,
yeah. It's like a blockage or a burn or like something, isn't it? It's something very physical, and we have to release that. We have to find a way to move that energy in, and there's so many ways that we can do it. But I think one of the biggest challenges, I don't know if you felt this, is if I let that fear, that shame, that darkness go, who am I without it? Like who is that person who doesn't have that shame anymore? Because it creates such a huge part, like a huge ball of energy in our body. And I see a lot of people, they're not ready to let go of that. They're not ready to let go of the past mistakes, because it defines you until you release it, until you forgive it. And that's a big challenge. And that's why I think a lot of people avoid talking about money, because it does uncover all sorts of deep, dark feelings that people don't even want to face. But there's definitely something I've been like, oh, if I get rid of that, who will I become? Who am I without this shame, this hurt, this block, this belief? You know?
Definitely. I mean, I love having conversations with people about who will you become, because very much like, you know, we have talked about this whole thing being an ongoing thing, and we continue to evolve because we continue to become someone.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I can really see that I know even now where I'm sitting here, it's like, to actually live in this house on the land, I'm going to have to be somebody different. This person,
Yes.
this person here in this moment can't do that. And it's like, okay. And our journeys, I think, when we do these things, it is a journey of becoming. You know, we think that money or a house or a piece of land or a relationship is going to give us something, and it's not. That's
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are continually creating ourselves,
Mm.
recreating ourselves. And to me, it is about, yeah, exactly that. You know, when we look at this, who have I got to become if I'm not going to be the person who is ashamed of what I've done? Who is that person? And stepping into being that. And like you say, if we haven't been that, that can be really, really scary. And certainly at first, you know, as we have stepped in, I'm really enjoying this process at the moment. I mean, there have definitely been some really scary days and some really scary moments, but because I've seen it and I've stepped into things before, it's like, yeah, you're going to become this, and this is going to be great fun. But I can absolutely see, you know, some of my first steps and my first journeys were absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I can become someone else. I don't know who that is. I don't know how to do that. But it's beautiful as we do it.
It is. And one thing that I've noticed is, obviously I've become someone who can generate a very high level of income compared to where I was. And I'm loving that. And I want to go on to become a different person that can generate even more. But what I have noticed is, because we evolve into our goals, we often fail to notice that they've happened. So I forgot to notice that this house was the house that we manifested, or we started manifesting 9 months before. It was in a different town. It's a new build. And we saw this exact house in a different town. And then we moved in. And it was a year later that I shouted down to Mark, "This is the house." And he was like, "What are you talking about?" "This is the house that we sat in and said we wanted to manifest." "No, it's not. That house was in Romsey." I was like, "No, but this is the house, the same house." And what had happened was, I'd evolved into the person that could hold this house in my space. But because of that, it went from being impossible to possible to probable to likely to inevitable. And when it becomes inevitable, it's not even a step up, it's a step across. And so you don't even notice how, what a badass you are at manifesting stuff, because you've evolved into the person that it's just inevitable. I think, therefore I have.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
And
love it. Yeah, and I think in that, what I see as well with manifestation, when it happens, like you said, because of those steps and how it had moved and it was inevitable, in the moment when it happened, like, I guess when we first have the idea of something, we are quite a way away from it. And so, when it happens, it could feel like, wow, that's a miracle. And yet, even if it's over, even if it's like 10 minutes or whatever, depending on what it is and depending what we're doing, by the time we step into it, like, if I told you the day that I viewed that land the first time, if you'd have sort of said to me, how likely, out of 10 is it that you'll be able to afford this land? It's like maybe a 1 or a 2,
Yeah.
if it just didn't look possible.
Yeah.
And if you'd have kind of had to do a truth detector on me, I'd have probably said, no, it probably is never going to happen. Now, by the time it's happened, the story of how it has happened feels almost so ordinary. And so, I don't think you did anything special there, because, that was kind of sort of going to happen. And so, like you say, it's very, very easy to miss that, to miss our power, to miss the part that we play in it, and just go, well, yeah, but that sort of did, but this thing that I want, this other thing that I'm never going to be able to do that.
And I noticed you actually did that, because you were talking about the land and how you wanted to buy a plot of land and build on it, and I just thought, oh, that's the goal. But then when you dropped in there that you had actually got the land, I was like, oh, so you're already on your journey. But it was like, that didn't matter. Like,
Yeah,
we're on to the next big thing now. Forget about that enormous achievement.
yeah.
We're on to the next thing. And I think that is what makes the magic of manifestation very subtle.
Yeah.
Is that our skills, our abilities, our energy, our alignment, it just literally all falls into place. So it doesn't feel exciting when it happens, because it's inevitable. And then, like I said, you're on to the next thing. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do that, you know? And I'm exactly the same, but it's always worth spending time reflecting. I call it a to-do list. So we all have to-do lists, but once a month, seriously look back and write a to-do list, like, ta-da! Look at all the stuff that I've manifested and managed to get done, because we are kicking ass. We are literally smashing it out of the park. But we have no idea, because we've evolved into a person that's just mundane and normal for. You know? And that's been the biggest learning for me. When I first started this, I was trying to generate £3,000 a month, and now I've 10x that almost. I think I'm like £1,000 off doing 10x in that on a quiet month, you know, because I have to have consistency. So on a quiet month, I have to do it as well. But like, it still feels the same, because I've become the person that manifests 30 grand rather than the person that manifests 3 grand. And that was very hard for me at the time as well. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating. We just do all these amazing things. And it's just like, oh yeah, no, yeah, I did that. Yeah. But I can't do that. I'm working on that now. So it's really important, and it also helps your relationship with yourself as well. When I look back over the years and I think, gosh, how far I've come, the person that I've changed into, to have the capacity to create the things that I said I was going to create, like, so important. And I've learned to really trust what I say now, and that's quite a commitment. If I say I'm going to do something, that is the truth. It has to be the truth, because if I start not doing the things that I say I'm going to do, then anything I do say may or may not happen. And I want what I say to be the manifestation that goes out into the future. So my biggest tip for you, I hope you don't mind, is instead of thinking about how or whether or not you can do it, just say that you've done it. I've built an amazing property on the plot of land that I magically manifested through my skills. Imagine like it's already happened. Tell yourself it's already happened.
Well, I live in that house, you know, every time I drive, I'm driving home, I kind of imagine myself driving to there, not to here. And I don't see it. When I picture it in my mind, I can see, but it's almost like I'm seeing the brambles and the old barn as a past thing, and this beautiful house. I'm going to this beautiful house, and it's only in the moments like we are looking for a caravan or something to put onto the land, and so the practicalities of we have to kind of do this in this moment. But it's like, don't be pulled into, again, that goes back to that whole, don't be pulled out of the energy of this as a happened thing. So that, and I think that is definitely one of the things that I'm really learning about, you know, looking at the things that I have achieved and almost not exactly, but unpacking them. You know, what was it? What worked there? And definitely, I can see every time anything has gone wrong, I have been in the thick of the how. I have been the one who's kind of thought, right, this is on my shoulders. How do I do this? And I'm trying to kind of, I don't know, watch somebody else. Oh, you know, Eloise, what did she do? What exactly did she do? What was her hair like? What did she do? What did she say? And it's kind of like, no, you know, I am not you. And it's So this is, and absolutely, I love listening to people. I love these conversations, you know, and I really hope that other people listening to this are getting something from this, and it's brilliant. But like you say about the relationship with yourself, I mean, I am a recovering people pleaser, and the temptation to believe that I need to be someone else, that is what I'm really kind of seeing with myself at this moment. The temptation to hear somebody else, you know, something they're doing or something that, oh yeah, that's what I need to do, or that's who I should be. And no, keep coming back to who you are, what your dream is.
And that's what I think, you know, I don't think we ever really recover from these things. I caught myself saying something to someone the other day because I thought it was what I thought they wanted me to say. And I walked away and I mentally kicked myself. I was like, why did I do that? These people, they're not even in my close circle. Why did it bother me so much to fit in? And I felt like I'd betrayed myself a little bit. And I did that whole forgiveness thing. I love Ho'oponopono. I don't know if you've heard of that. I'm sure you have. But I just like walked back saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you. And then it was gone. We were always going to trip up. But that, you know, even just a year ago, I wouldn't even have known. I wouldn't have even have been aware that I'd done that. And that awareness that you've got and being able to go, hang on a minute, I'm going to do something else instead. We're always going to end up in the how. That's what we're taught to do. That's the first question. You say, I'm going to manifest a building on a plot of land. How are you going to do that?
Yeah.
So that's the first question that our ego gives us and everyone else's ego gives us. And it's a very relevant question in this reality. But we're not just in this reality. We're in many dimensions. And like, yeah, that law of detachment, that ability to just let it go. And there's a couple of things that I always say if I catch myself, and sometimes I have to say it like every 30 seconds to myself. Other times it's every 5 minutes, and sometimes it's just once a day. So I always just go, surrender, surrender, surrender.
Yeah.
Or the other one is if I'm in a more practical mode and less like woo-woo, I just say everything's figure outable. And let it go. I don't have to sit there figuring it out. I just need to trust that it's figure outable, you know? And those two things I've found really helpful when I'm like, right, how? Get my pen and paper out and off I go. Stop it. Just let it go. And so I only allow myself post-its now because you can't write many hows on a post-it, and they're never allowed to be any bigger than that. And I limit myself to ideas rather than structure. Of course, there is a place for structure, but when we're manifesting, you're right, it's the energy, it's actually the feeling that we manifest from. You could do all the things that I did to manifest this house, and if you don't feel it the way I felt it, it's not going to work. And that's what the book goes through, lots of ways to make yourself feel better about money, about manifesting, about you. Like, if you can feel it, it doesn't matter which technique you choose, it will work if you can feel it and you can hold space for that feeling. And there's a wonderful I call it the miracle minute. It's in the law of attraction, all the texts have it, but basically it's like 68 seconds. If you can hold a feeling for 68 seconds, it's already arrived to you. Now, that sounds really simple, but how many times have you tried to hold a feeling for even 5 seconds without a thought creeping in? The closer to the 68 seconds, it might be 67 seconds, it's literally just over a minute. The longer you can hold it, the more impact the more juice it's going to give. So you imagining that house, that site is giving you those moments that are bringing it towards you. And you just got to trust, okay, maybe you can't do a whole 68 seconds without being distracted, but even a few seconds is going to be pulling it towards you. And that's what you got to have the faith in.
I'm not, yeah, totally. It was around about the time I think that I saw the land, that I was really reading and listening to some stuff and kind of seeing that what I had already manifested, kind of seeing all the stuff around my relationship and that, because I'd never used that language and looked at it in that way, you know, never sort of seen it in that sense. But it was kind of like, you've actually, you know, really manifested and created some amazing relationships with your children, you know, that were really broken at one point, sort of thing. So you've really done this. And so I was sort of looking at what I did, and for me personally, the word God really works well for me, and a lot of, right, okay, faith and trust in God. It's like, this isn't for you to do. And how I could get out of my own way, it would be like, I could just, right, okay, this is what you want, God knows what you want, just be loving, be kind, and get on with life. That's
exactly.
Get out. Yeah. That's it. The how isn't my business. And it would be like, you'll know when there's something for you to do. So definitely when this came up, that it's the same, you know, I can really see that, okay, so you are going to know when there's something to do. And as I said, it was around about the time, I think, that I saw the land, that I was reading something and I read, you know, all your business is to stay in a really good feeling around this.
Yes.
Stay in a really, really good energy around it. And like you say, then that fed into this whole thing of, I could see, if I talked about it too much to certain people, they were going to kind of say, and that whole, you know, like you say, it's quite a relevant question. Well, how are you going to do this then? And, you know, speaking to someone like you, how are you going to do this? I'm just going to get into a great feeling. I'm going to allow it to happen. I'm going to follow them.
Yes.
But there are
pull it towards you.
But if there were some people, if I kind of said that, they'd be like, what?
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the money. I'm talking about, you know, the time. Yeah. How are you going to do this? And I can see, you know, until I have stayed in that feeling long enough to really trust it, I can't say with conviction, you know, I can't be sharing this out in the world, because I can't stay in my grounding of it.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing now, you know, the reason that I am sharing this with you, I'm speaking this into being. You know, the reason I'm talking about this with you is you're the perfect person to have a conversation like this with, and I am speaking this into being deliberately. Whereas, because I feel grounded in this, I know this is going to happen. And what I can see, like you say, with the process, as you know, when I first saw it, I knew it, but I had to just know it privately in my heart. That wasn't, I couldn't say it to anyone else, because I could too easily have been pulled out of that.
Yes, especially when you're in that, like, it's never going to happen space yourself, and you're working on changing that. It doesn't take much to kick you from a 2 to a 0.
Yeah,
absolutely. But once you're on your way, like, you're already on your way, you've got the land. And so there's much more belief there for you, even though you're like, yeah, I got the land. It wasn't a great deal, you know. Yeah, it was. We're on to the next thing. But you're already like halfway there. So it takes a lot more for people to knock you off that, but they still can. I often liken this manifestation work as to The Matrix, the film The Matrix, where Morpheus offers Neo 2 tablets. One's a blue one, and I'm probably going to get it mixed up. He can take the blue tablet, he can wake up in his bed and just imagine this was a dream. The second one, the red one, is about taking and seeing what's outside the Matrix. Now, we know that what's outside the Matrix in the film is not a very nice thing, but we can take the red pill, and what's outside of our matrix, our reality, is something very beautiful and very powerful. The thing is, we have to wake up and make that choice every single day, because other people will force us back into waking up in our beds believing it was all a dream, you know. And that's what we have to commit to. That, for me, is what spiritual practice is. It's that commitment to taking that red pill and seeing what's outside of this immediate reality every single day. And like I said, the most beautiful thing is, it's not like the Matrix film. It is wonderful. It's a wonderful realm out there. Realms. It's wonderful stuff out there. And it's a daily, oftentimes more than once daily, choice that we need to make to choose to believe in our magic, in our creative powers. You know, in the Bible, there's a verse, and I'm not religious, but I love the Bible. I love the Old Testament and the New Testament. I'm not religious,
but I love the Bible.
Yeah.
You know, that
all of the majority of the stories in the Bible talk about this other way of being, and there's a really clear message. I think it's in Luke, I'm not sure. Ask and it is given. Okay, and over the thousands of years that we've had that statement, we have so complicated that. We've got all of our junk on it. But even in that Bible, it says ask and it is given. It's as simple as that. Ask and it is given. And that's what manifestation is. But what we have to do is ask detach, like ask and it's given, just trust that that's the case. But we get caught up in the bit in the middle. So that's where we mess it up.
We get caught in that trap of we continue to ask because we look out, it's like ask and it's given, and no, like that verse continues to say, you know, in faith, those who do that in faith and trust. And the faith and trust is like, if I ask you, you know, we arranged this call and I didn't keep checking in with you. Well, are you going to turn up? Well, are you going to turn, you know, is this going to happen? It was just like, oh yeah, it's in your diary, it's in my diary. It's going to happen. I didn't.
And we're here.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas, you know, I asked you, you said yes, done deal. I knew it was going to happen. And that's the kind of the ask and it is given that we're talking about. And what we tend to do is get caught in that, you know, oh, I've asked for my house, but look, I'm still here. Oh, yeah, this stuff doesn't work, does it? We look, instead of moving out of that phase of, I've asked, this is a done deal now.
Yes.
You know, that's the way, I don't know, you know, we arranged this and there was a time period and you know, we didn't go straight onto the call. There was some time lapse and then we're on this call. And it's like, I've asked for that house. This house, it's here. I don't have to ask again. Everything is done.
You just got to clear the path for it.
To it, and not
with the forgiveness.
With the faith, and if we stay in the asking phase or try to work out how, that's all resistance, and that's what keeps us not having it. And then we don't believe, you know, we lose more and more faith because we haven't got it. But I can see, you know, definitely for me with the money stuff, you know, it fascinates me what you're doing with money, because I can really see that's what I do with myself quite a lot with money. It's kind of like, well, I need it for this. Oh my gosh, it's not coming. Oh my gosh, it's not coming.
But that needs a very powerful word. So there are a few words that you should never say when you're manifesting. Please do use them at other times. But need, if you manifest with need, you're asking for need. I need more money. You manifest a need for more money. So then you end up in this spiral of always needing more money because you're manifesting a need. Want is another word. Like, want is often a cover, a sneaky little cover for don't want. I was like, I want to have a cleaner once a week. But what I didn't want was to have to clean my house. Do you see? So it was like my house got messier and messier the more I wanted this cleaner. And as soon as I just said, do you know what? I have a clean house. The right cleaner manifested, and she's been with me for years. Another one that hope's another one. We don't hope. Hope implies doubt. Okay. Have faith. Okay, the words that we use are so powerful. If you've experienced neuro-linguistic programming, we're programming ourselves all the time. And we do things like hold back with words like hope and need and want. So yeah, there's so many things that, you know, if we can get those out of our language for manifesting, we don't need money. We are manifesting money. Or how can I manifest that money? Ask questions rather than say things like need. But yeah, hope is a sneaky one. I'm hoping. Hoping's doubt.
And hope, when you were saying that as well, what I saw around that about the cleaner, and I've seen this with myself, you're also in the how, because you're not actually looking at what it is what you truly want is a clean house. How that happens is not your business.
Yeah, get out of it.
I could see that, you know, when I was playing around with this, and I would, and for a while I was like, oh, I want to manifest money, and I was like, I'm not. Money is a little bit of a red herring here. I want a perfect home for me and my partner. I want to be so, and definitely things have started shifting and happening for me, rather than me being, oh, I want money, or what I'm trying, even, you know, not that trying to manifest and working out the manifesting of money. And it's kind of like, that was a bit of a red herring, because that's like you kind of manifesting a cleaner. What you actually wanted was a clean house, that feeling of a clean house. The reason that I'm kind of going, oh, I want my business to do better, I want more money coming in, I want to do this, is because I want to have a place that I live with my partner. You know, I want our living arrangements to change. And so what it looked like, the how of that was, there will have to be more money. I don't know if that's true. And so definitely shifting the focus to what is it you actually want, because I think very often when we think we want money, what we want is what we believe money is going to give to us.
And money is I mean, I remember thinking, I want millions of pounds, and I would love that, universe, please do send that to me. However, for most people, an extra £500 a month is transformative.
Yeah.
Like, that means they can go on holiday, they can upgrade their car, they can have their boiler fixed. 500 and we often think we need millions and millions to make a massive difference to our lives. So then we're like, well, I'm going to need this much money, but actually we're blocking ourselves, because sometimes we don't need any money, and sometimes we don't need anywhere near as much as we think we do anyway. But the great thing about money is she acts like the magical wand. You know, she speeds things up. Money speeds things up, you know. It collapses time. Money collapses time, and it can help you buy the things that make you happy. Maybe can't buy happiness off a shelf, but it can certainly buy you things that make you happy. Money is the beautiful magic wand, and it's the charge that you give it that creates what it is you're actually desiring. It's fascinating. I love this stuff.
So do I. I think we could just carry on speaking it all day. This is just yeah. I think definitely. I think it's cool and it's great, and I think it is like not looking at that, not being ashamed. Like, I loved it when you said, yes, I do own it if you do want money. I think one of the realizations I had was, I'm not sure that it is actually money per se that I want. That's definitely, I'm moving a little bit into the how. And to me, it does look like that will be part of the how. But if I stay out, like you did end up with a cleaner, like you were trying to manifest a cleaner, but when you came to the, I want a clean house, the obvious way was a cleaner. So that's what manifested. Now what I can see is, I know what it is I truly want, and if I stay in the feeling of what I truly want, any money that I need for that, and if money is, you know, well, I know it is a magic wand, it is something that speeds things up. If that's what I need, that's what I'm going to end up having. So long as I can, you know, be totally open to that.
And that's the thing, clearing out your flow, your stream, clearing out your stream of all the blockages, all the bumps, so that it can just flow towards you. And that is the forgiveness work, that is the, you know, the belief work, the faith work. It's coming towards you anyway. But if you've got a great big boulder in your abundance flow, it's gonna struggle. It's gonna trickle around it rather than gush towards you. So, like, clear the path, and you will manifest everything that you desire. And here's something else, sorry, just very quickly. A lot of the times,
I could stay here all day.
A lot of the times we often don't know what we want. It's like, I thought I wanted to travel, and actually I travel a few times a year anyway, but I don't want to travel more because it's exhausting. So I spent ages focusing on this goal of being able to travel every other month, and actually I didn't want it, like, because it's hard. I'm an introvert, and I have very sensitive hearings. I have ADHD and a few other things going on. And the thought of being in an airport and on a plane, and then in another airport, and then in a loud city, you know. So, like, sometimes it's good to manifest money if you don't know specifically what you desire as well, whilst you're working on that desire. But think through the number and into the feeling. It's not about the figure, it's about the feeling. What would that feeling of having more money create for you? And I wrote on my last month's magic check that I wanted a heart flutter, and I got a heart flutter. There was a feeling that I wanted, and I'd forgotten I'd written that. So the money, I didn't want to do anything specific with it. I'm in a period of growth with my business, which means a lot of things are reinvested. But I wanted to feel excited. I wanted to feel like, oh, there goes my heart, you know? So focus on the feeling, and you're doing that. You're focusing on walking around that site in your mind and feeling everything, and the figure will come.
Yeah, whatever it needs. No. That has been a most amazing conversation. I have.
Oh, thank you. I loved it too. I could talk about this all day.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I think it's great to get it out there, isn't it? And so, okay, so if people want to connect with you, I will definitely put some things underneath this video anyway. But if people want to, you're Eloise Burton. How do they connect with you? Where's the best place to find you? Where's the best?
Facebook is my home, so come and find me. Eloise Burton, there's a picture of me. Come and find me. And if you want to grab a copy of the book, you can go to themagicofmoneyalchemy.com, and it's currently free with some amazing bonuses as well. I just ask that you cover the shipping, because that's not a cost that I can recoup. So yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, so grab a copy of the book. I've heard it's pretty good. So I felt so vulnerable putting it out there, because it was like talking about money spiritually. It was a big deal. And people are absolutely receiving it wonderfully. So thank you to everyone who has bought a copy.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of really good things. And I think it's a conversation we need to have more, you know, this money. And as I said, you know, certainly women of a certain age and all this kind of things. Get out there and be create your dreams, go for your dreams. And money is definitely a part mixed in with that, isn't it? So conversations about money, I think it's a good thing. So go you, and keep going, keep doing it.
Women with money do amazing things. That's not to say men don't, but women definitely do. So never be afraid of asking for more money. Never be afraid, because you'll do amazing things with it.
I totally agree with that. And as I said, you know, I love male energy, but we do need more female energy. We would do different things, and that balance again. Balance needs shifting around that. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I've loved it. Thank you.
So have I.